Well, it's Wednesday. Additional thoughts time for Run the Jewels 3. I don't have a lot of notes because of my trip to Vancouver to see Kevin and Connor. There's my virtual reality son back there. Not a real son anymore. Only virtual. But it was an interesting experience with the album. One thing I did is, I think it was yesterday or whenever it was, but somebody linked me the Dead End Hip Hop review of the album. And I watched the whole review. I really quite enjoyed it, honestly. I like those guys. They're cool. It's fun to just listen to them banter back and forth and have different opinions and, you know, call each other hot takes and all this other shit. But something I noticed with them is they were so excited. You know, they were really, really into the album. And every now and then I wonder to myself with this album, and there's been some others in the past as well, where I feel like I listen to something amazing and I go, oh yeah, that was cool. You know, and it's like, how come I'm not like overly like excited? Like those guys were all fired up about the album, all of them. And so I started thinking about that just in general. And in general, typically for me, I'm a fan, but I'm not like a super fan. Like it's rare when I get really, really, really excited about something, in my opinion anyway. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but in my own like perception of myself and how I treat music, movies, games, etc., it's pretty rare when I get really excited about something. I try to enjoy it for what it is. And even if it's really good, I try and kind of keep it, I don't know, within bounds, just so I feel like, I don't know, I'm always worried about being disappointed later, I suppose. It's not like the best thing to do. Anyway, right? And then I kind of got into this rabbit hole of, well, what's the deal? Like, I like this album quite a bit. For a while, I thought I liked Run the Jewels 2 more. And I went back and listened to that recently, I think Monday. And I went, no, 3's better. I think 3 is better. But for me, I think there's a couple tracks on 2 that, in terms of my favorites, that I like more than my favorites off of this album. But even then, it didn't really explain this weird feeling of, yeah, no, this is cool. Because I feel like my opinions of this album should be higher. Because honestly, it is an excellent album. I've got a heart next to every single track. I think the back half of the album is fucking phenomenal. Just like a forest fire. It's so good. You know, Thieves, 2100, Panther Like a Panther, Everybody Stay Calm, Oh Mama, Thursday in the Danger Room, Kill Your Master. That, oh my God. Just fucking pure fire right there. But even on the first half, you know, Down kind of sets the pace, sets the tone, and then it just slowly picks up steam. So from a set list construction, I think, wow, this album's fucking great because it builds and it doesn't like, you know, spike too soon and then drop off and then kind of like spike again. And even when it really starts to heat up, I said during the reaction, I don't remember exactly where it was, but I was like, okay, now it's letting off a little bit on the seriousness so I can kind of catch my breath before finishing up the album. The length is perfect. Yeah, it's great. But I still keep getting pulled into this, oh yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Then I started thinking about the Olympics. Things like the Olympics. Things like the Olympics or professional sports or whatever, racing, whatever you want to call it, where you're watching some of the best people on the planet do the thing. And they do the thing so well, it's misleading, and you forget that what they're doing is the absolute best of the best. No one else can do it. And, like, you know, I started thinking about, you know, Olympics and like some of the, whatever gets judged, like gymnastics and things like that, right? If you get kind of into the Olympics and you're watching, especially if you're watching a specific sport, you kind of get into the mindset of what the judges have and what the announcers have of, oh, you know, great this and that, but, you know, the ankle was a little off and the arm wasn't quite extended. And so, yeah, that's why it's a 9.1 instead of a 9.2. Like, oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. But when you zoom out from that, it's utterly ridiculous, right? Like this person just did a triple backflip, somersault, high kick, fucking like tornado spin. You know, like they just did this most incredible thing ever. And we're like, well, but the ankle, you know, oh God, you know. And so I feel like I'm having that experience with this album because anytime I try to approach it and understand this idea of, well, why am I not super excited? and I start analyzing it, I realize, no, the set list order is great. The beats are great. The rhymes, great. The lyrical flow, great. It's great, but it's almost so good, especially I think too, the cohesiveness of the album. It's so cohesive. It's so well done from top to bottom. To me, it's almost misleading. You forget how good it is, if that makes any sense. Hopefully I don't sound like a crazy person right now. Maybe just a little crazy. That's fine. A little crazy is fine. Not totally crazy. And so that's the experience I've had with this album thus far, this whole week. My favorite track, God, I don't know. I love Thieves. Thursday in the Danger Room is fucking amazing. Both of those verses from LP and Mike are just incredible. It's almost too much. It's so raw. LP's verse especially, man, like I said in the reaction, it reminds me of when you're getting ready to go on deployment, and which is a very soft parallel, obviously, to watching your fucking friend die. Like that's, but it just connects. The way LP presents it, it's so just, you can feel the truth. You can feel the emotion, the honesty, the fucking honesty of it. A very incredible song. I kind of think Oh Mama's my favorite, though. There's just something about it. Something about that chorus. My mama says I ain't living right. She says she's crying on me. I'm trying, Mom. I don't know. It's just cool. And I love the beat in that one, too. Kill Your Masters is incredible. The whole fucking thing is so good. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have a bunch of notes just because we're on travel and stuff like that. But really enjoy this album. Kind of a short video in terms of my additional thoughts for it. Really, my only struggle has been trying to understand why this doesn't excite me more, because it should, because it checks every single box I can come up with. And I think, well, maybe this is just an example of my enjoying something, but, you know, I love that New York sound. Okay. I love the Southern sound. There was a point where I was thinking about the beats specifically, and like this album, it almost feels like this album is like ahead of its time in a sense. But I couldn't really put that into words when I was thinking about it this morning. I was driving to work and I was listening to it. And I was kind of trying to place the sound. The production is so, in my opinion, so clean and so advanced. It feels like rap from the future in a sense. Like if you went 20 years into the future and hip hop is where it is, and then these guys release this album and it's the sound of the time, but it's also a throwback to old school hip hop. That makes any sense. This will push me fully over the crazy edge right now. I just sound crazy. We're talking time travel. We're talking gymnastics. All things relevant to hip hop when doing an album review, obviously. It's just cool. Now, in terms of Run the Jewels 4, I know Mike and LP, Killer Mike and LP have another album, I think, planned for this year. I'm personally not going to put a tremendous amount of effort to get to 4 prior to that album. I'll work that way, and if I get to it, cool. But if 5 comes out before I do 4, I'll do 5. Like I'm not gonna stress myself out over that. I'm still trying to keep to a hip hop journey in terms of listening to classics, old albums, things like that. And so it's hard. It's hard to balance that between classics and trap and new stuff. And I mean, I'm sure you guys understand. But if you're concerned about 4 before 5, I'm not. So I'm not really gonna sweat it too much. There you go. And I guess that's it. Really. Fucking these guys just keep getting better. And this is something that Dead End Hip Hop really hit on. How do they keep getting better? And I've had so many people tell me, oh, 4 is even better, which is hard to believe. It's hard to believe, right? It is hard to believe. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll get there. And then it just makes me very curious for 5. You know, what are they going to do for 5? Anyway, there you go. There's my thoughts. Great album. Really enjoyed it. Glad I did it. I was getting pestered a lot in Discord. You got to do this fucking album. You got to do this album. All right, fine. Thursday, tomorrow, there's no Buog, but I am going to do a live stream on YouTube at 7 Pacific. I'm going to test out a new format that I have, an idea I have. It's called BSing with Bob. Okay? It's going to be me, live stream. I'm going to have Discord off to the side. There's going to be a Discord channel, a voice channel set up. We tested it the other night. And basically, the people who are in Discord, which is part of Patreon, they will be able to call in during the live stream and chat with me about a topic. And we're going to talk about AI music tomorrow. That's what we're going to talk about. So the idea is it's kind of like this radio call-in show it's kind of an amalgamation of a radio call-in show and conversations with the community where, now I don't have to like book a guest and pre-record and all stuff. I can just stream it. The people who want to talk to me, they don't have to come up with something and talk on it for an hour because that's a lot and that's pretty intimidating. They can just talk for a couple minutes. They can give their opinions. Kind of brings in a little bit of a debate element. I'll have an opinion. Other people will have different opinions. They'll kind of go back and forth. We're going to test it out. If it goes well, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have to be careful not to overbook myself and my time and burn myself out. But if this goes well, I would like to do it consistently, but that's its own challenge. I'll just deal with that. There's a small part of me that goes, well, hopefully it just flops and then I don't have to worry about it.
That's horrible.
It's not that horrible. It's a joke. Jeez. And then Friday is going to be VooDoo by D'Angelo. Going to finally do that album. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and we had a beat making contest in Discord recently, and the winner picked from kind of like a list of albums and chose VooDoo. So finally getting to VooDoo. I'm looking forward to that one. I've heard so many good things about it. And I hope everyone's doing well, and we will see you tomorrow night, 7 on the YouTubes.